It started with a simple question, one that I never imagined would unravel everything I thought I knew about my marriage. I was sitting on the edge of the bed, the weight of exhaustion heavy on my shoulders after another long day, when I noticed the faintest flicker of hesitation in his eyes. That hesitation was the first crack in the facade he had built around us. I remember the night vividly, the silence between us so thick it felt suffocating, broken only by the distant hum of the city outside our window. He avoided my gaze, shifting uncomfortably, and finally, in a voice barely above a whisper, he confessed that someone close had betrayed us both. The word betrayal echoed in my mind like a sharp stab, and I could feel my heart start to race. What made it unbearable was the truth that the betrayal came not from a stranger or an enemy, but from someone who shared our blood. The very idea that family could be the source of so much pain felt like a cruel twist of fate. I wanted to scream, to demand answers, but all I could do was sit there, stunned and numb. Over the next few days, the tension grew. Every glance, every word between us was charged with unspoken accusations and raw hurt. I found myself replaying conversations in my head, searching for signs I had missed, wondering how long the deceit had been going on right under my nose. One evening, I confronted him again, desperate for clarity. His eyes were red-rimmed, his voice shaky as he revealed the depth of the betrayal. It wasn't just a secret kept, it was a web of lies that involved people I had trusted, people I had welcomed into our lives without hesitation. I felt the ground shift beneath me. The home that had once felt like a sanctuary suddenly seemed like a battleground, every corner filled with reminders of what had been lost. The photographs on the walls, the shared memories, all tainted by the shadow of deceit. Sleep became elusive as my mind churned with questions and fears. Who could I trust now? How do you rebuild a life when the foundation is cracked by those who were supposed to protect you? The silence in our house was now louder than ever, filled with the weight of things left unsaid. Friends noticed the change too. Their concerned glances and hesitant words were a reminder that what was happening wasn't just between us, it was spilling out, affecting everyone around us. But how do you explain betrayal by blood without sounding like a cautionary tale? The hardest moments were those small, quiet ones, the times we sat in the same room but worlds apart, the touch of a hand that no longer felt safe, the shared meals that passed without a word. It wasn't just the betrayal itself, it was the erosion of trust that felt impossible to reclaim. I started to notice the subtle changes in him too. The way he avoided my questions, the brief flash of guilt in his eyes, the nights when he would disappear into his phone, as if trying to escape the reality we were drowning in. It was like watching someone I loved slip away, piece by painful piece. One afternoon, I found myself alone in our kitchen, the light filtering through the curtains, casting long shadows on the floor. I picked up the family photo from the counter, our smiles frozen in a happier time, and for a moment, I felt the full weight of grief for what we had lost and what might never be again. He came in quietly then, his voice barely audible as he tried to bridge the gap that had grown between us. But the words felt hollow, rehearsed, as if even he wasn't sure if they were enough to heal the wounds. I wanted to believe him, but the betrayal had planted a seed of doubt that refused to be silenced. That night sleep refused to come. I lay awake, heart pounding, mind racing through memories and what-ifs. How could someone we loved so deeply cause such devastation? The question haunted me, a relentless echo that drowned out everything else. Days turned into weeks, and the emotional distance only grew. We tried to talk, to understand, but every conversation seemed to circle back to the same pain, the same raw nerve that refused to heal. The betrayal wasn't just a wound, it was a chasm between us. I found myself retreating, seeking solace in the quiet moments away from the chaos. Sometimes I would sit by the window, watching the world go by, wishing for a sign that things could ever be different. But the silence was a constant reminder of what was missing, the laughter, the trust, the sense of safety. In those moments alone, I grappled with the complexity of love and hurt intertwined. How do you hold on to love when it feels like it's been weaponized against you? How do you forgive when the wounds are inflicted by those you thought would stand by your side? Our families, once a source of comfort, had become a minefield of tension and suspicion. Visiting them meant walking on eggshells, unsure if a casual comment would ignite another conflict. The betrayal had fractured more than just our marriage. It threatened to tear apart the entire fabric of our lives. One evening, after a particularly tense dinner, I found myself alone in the backyard, the cool air brushing against my skin as tears slipped down without shame. The stars above seemed distant and cold, mirroring the emptiness I felt inside. It was in that quiet moment that I realized the road ahead would be long and uncertain. He joined me then, hesitant but determined to reach out. Our hands met in the darkness, a small gesture laden with years of history and pain. It was fragile, this connection, like a flickering flame fighting against the wind, but it was there, stubborn and real. We talked then, really talked, for the first time in what felt like forever. Not about blame or accusations, but about fears and hopes, about the cracks in our foundation and whether they could ever be mended. It was raw and painful, but it was a start. Yet even as we tried to rebuild, the shadow of betrayal lingered. Trust, once broken, isn't easily restored. Every step forward was met with hesitation, every moment of closeness shadowed by the fear of being hurt again. It was a delicate dance, balancing love with the scars that betrayal leaves behind. There were days when anger surged like a tidal wave, threatening to sweep away everything we had left. Other days, a profound sadness settled in, a quiet mourning for the innocence lost and the family fractured. Through it all, I clung to the hope that love might still find a way to heal what blood had broken. The hardest part was accepting that some wounds run deeper than words can reach, that some betrayals don't come with neat resolutions. Our story became one of navigating that painful gray area between love and hurt, between holding on and letting go. And so we continue, day by day, grappling with the legacy of betrayal by blood. The future remains uncertain, the path ahead shrouded in doubt and fear. But amidst the rubble, there is still a fragile thread of connection, one that we both cling to, uncertain of what lies ahead, but unwilling to give up just yet. It's a story that isn't finished, a chapter still unfolding. And sometimes that's the hardest part, to live in the tension, to hold on to hope even when everything feels broken. But somehow we do, because that's what love demands, even when betrayed by blood. Every day brings new challenges, new moments where the past threatens to overshadow the present. Yet, each day also offers a chance to choose differently, to reach out despite the fear, to try to rebuild what was shattered. It's a fragile hope, but it's all we have. I don't know how this story will end. There are no easy answers, no quick fixes, just the slow, painful process of piecing together trust, of learning to see each other through the fog of hurt, of deciding what it means to love in the aftermath of betrayal. Sometimes I catch myself staring at the family photo again, wondering if those smiles were ever real or just a fragile mask we all wore. But then I remind myself that even broken things can hold beauty, that even in pain, there is the possibility of healing. And so here I am, sharing this story, not as a tale of despair, but as a testament to the messy, complicated reality of love and family. Because sometimes, the hardest battles are fought not against strangers, but against the ones we thought we knew best. The road ahead is uncertain, the wounds still raw, but the heart remains stubborn. It refuses to give up, refuses to be defined solely by betrayal. And maybe, just maybe, that's where the real strength lies, in the courage to keep trying, even when everything feels broken. As I sit here typing this, the weight of the story still presses down, but there's also a flicker of something else, a quiet resolve to face whatever comes next. Because this is our story, raw and unfinished, and I'm still here, still fighting for what could be. The betrayal by blood has left scars that may never fully fade, but it has also opened a door to truths we can't ignore. And while it's painful to walk through that door, it's the only way we'll ever find a path forward. It's strange how the people who are supposed to be closest to you can sometimes hurt you the most. That's the cruel paradox of family, a bond that can be both a source of strength and a wellspring of pain. Living with that contradiction is a daily struggle. But even in the darkest moments, I remind myself that love isn't just about perfection or fairness. It's about resilience, about choosing each other over and over again, even when the heart is bruised and the trust is fragile. That choice is the hardest and yet the most necessary. I don't have the answers, and maybe I never will, but sharing this story, putting it into words, has been a step toward making sense of the chaos. It's a way to hold on to the hope that, despite everything, love can still find a way to heal. So this is where I leave it for now, a story of conflict, betrayal, and the messy, painful journey of trying to hold on to love when the people closest to you have broken your trust in the deepest way. The fight isn't over, and the chapters yet to come are unwritten. I hope that by sharing this, others who have felt that same sting of betrayal might know they're not alone. Because sometimes, the hardest thing is just to say out loud what's tearing you apart inside, and to find a little strength in the truth. This story is far from over. There are days filled with tears and nights haunted by doubt, but also moments of unexpected tenderness and glimmers of understanding. It's a complicated, fragile dance, but it's ours to navigate. And as long as there is breath and heart, I'll keep walking this path, uncertain, scared, but still holding on to the possibility that one day, somehow, the broken pieces might come together again. Because in the end, isn't that what love is? A risk, a hope, a stubborn refusal to let go, even when everything screams that it's impossible. Maybe that's the truest kind of strength there is. So here I am, caught between the past and the future, between pain and hope, sharing this story as honestly as I can. It's messy, it's raw, and it's real, because that's what life is when you're betrayed by blood. And the story goes on.